A month after my stepsister's death, I married my almost brother-in-law, Eric. The whole world thought I, the new wife of the H group's head, killed my stepsister just to marry my brother-in-law. Of course, Eric thought the same. I tried to explain, but no one believed me. At the wedding, he humiliated me, displaying photos of him and my stepsister on the screen. During the vows, he even called out her name instead of mine. He said, "Victoria, you want to marry me so bad, I'll make your life worse than death." And he wasn't kidding. He really did make my life hell. He forced me to entertain clients, broke my wrist on my stepsister's death anniversary, and even kicked our child, all to avenge his beloved. I tried to escape, but there was no way out. Eric tortured me even more, saying, "Victoria, your sins won't be forgiven until death." Eventually, I did die, but then my stepsister came back to life, and Eric went crazy crying over my ashes. "Get in the room." Eric squeezed my chin so hard I could hear it creak. The pain made my eyes water, and I instinctively fought back. "Let me go. Get in the room. Don't make me say it again." The hatred in Eric's eyes made my heart tremble. When he looked like this, things never ended well for me. I mustered up the courage to beg, "I'm not feeling well today. Can I skip?" Before I could finish, he grabbed my hair and threw me to the ground. He tore off my clothes and climbed on top of me. "Victoria, do you think you're my wife? The only wife I acknowledge is Anna. Look up." He forced me to look at a wedding photo. In the picture, Eric was the groom, and Anna, not me, was the bride. Anna had fallen into the sea shortly after Eric proposed, and after half a month of searching, they couldn't find her body. The police declared her dead. Everyone blamed me for Anna's death, because we had a big fight the day she disappeared. Eric and I had taken the wedding photos together, but afterward, he ordered my face replaced with Anna's in front of the whole crew just to shame me. Staring at the photos and feeling Eric's torture, I suddenly felt like laughing. Laughing at my misery, laughing at Anna. I couldn't help but laugh out loud, which made Eric pause. "Victoria, you're still laughing. If it weren't for you, my Anna wouldn't have died in the cold sea. Everything you have should have been hers." Really, I struggled against the pain of my scalp and turned my head. "If Anna were alive, would you treat her like you treat me? Would you put her through the kind of hell I've been living the past 2 years? You think you can compare to Anna? Anna was the woman I loved most. I would have cherished her. You, a poisonous woman, belong in hell." "Eric, you're the clown, the biggest joke. You say you love Anna, but what is your body doing? You're the one who betrayed Anna." My words seemed to hit a nerve. He gritted his teeth and just said, "Victoria, you're courting death." Then he got even rougher and crueler. I was in so much pain that cold sweat poured out. He was right. All I wanted was to die. Only death could set me free. This house was a cage. It seemed like no one watched me, but if I made a move, Eric knew. I tried running away, and even attempted suicide, but it only led to Eric torturing me more. By the time Eric finally finished and went to shower, I lay on the floor like a lifeless doll. The pain in my back reminded me that I was still alive. He couldn't care less if I lived or died, but he wouldn't let me die. Earlier, the glass shattered, and he had pressed me into the shards. Blood ran down my back. After he left, he sent a maid to clean my wounds. The maid looked at my back with teary eyes. "How could Mr. Eric do this to you? These wounds are deep and will scar. Miss Victoria, you should appease him. It's always you who suffers." Since I moved here, she'd been around. Unlike the other staff, she only cooked and left by night. Most times after Eric tormented me, she was the one who cared for my injuries. I spoke weakly, my face pale with pain. "The only way to end this with him is if I die." With a sigh, tears in her eyes, she finished tending to my wounds and left. Maybe it was from Eric's torment or the pain in my back, but I started feeling dizzy. Memories of my childhood began to surface. When I was 5, my mom took me to Anna's house. My uncle had a daughter a year younger than me. My mom told me that was Anna, my sister, and from then on, I'd be called Victoria. That was when I changed names, gained a sister, but lost my mom. My mom only had eyes for Anna. To make Anna happy, she made me live in the basement and starved me. Even though Anna and I were in the same class, she only acknowledged Anna as her daughter. When I turned 7, I couldn't take my mom's beatings anymore and ran away. Death seemed better than living like that, but I met a big brother who gave me hope. He promised he'd come by every day and bring me food. The good times lasted only a week before he had to go abroad. Before he left, he gave me 2 big bags of food and a jade pendant. "Remember me. When I return, I'll take you home. I won't let you go hungry again. But what if you don't recognize me?" I didn't want him to leave. He pinched my cheek. "That's why you need to keep the pendant. No matter how you look, I'll recognize you with it." As the butler took him away, he told me his name was Eric. I shouted, "Eric, my name is Victoria. You have to come back for me." The car drove off, and I never knew if he heard me. He returned, but mistook someone else for me. My brother's boyfriend, Anna said, holding the arm of a man. He had a handsome face full of distinction, with deep black eyes and a noticeable tear mole at the corner. I felt like my heart was clenching tight. With just one look, I knew he was the big brother who promised to come back and marry me. Eric, I'll take you to my room. Eric didn't even glance at me. He was all lovey-dovey, letting Anna drag him away. When Anna turned, I saw a jade pendant hanging around her neck. I was shocked. Wasn't that my pendant that I lost? How did it end up on Anna's neck? Back then, Anna tried to snatch my pendant. I fought hard and got beaten up by Mom to keep it, but the next day it went missing. Then, the scene shifts to the wedding. On the big screen, photos of Eric and Anna as a couple were on loop. And there I was, like a fool, listening to my groom say vows with my stepsister's name. On the aisle, I tripped on my gown. Eric even gave me a little shove. I fell right there on stage, my dress slipping, barely covering anything important. Reporters were snapping pictures like crazy. Guests were whispering. I was desperately trying to cover myself, while Eric just looked on coldly, a cruel smile on his lips. Victoria, didn't you say you liked me? You didn't mind ruining Anna to marry me. Well, you got what you wanted. But now you'll live a life worse than death. You'll atone for Anna forever. And this is just the start. I hadn't, though. Anna's death had nothing to do with me. It was her who started the fight that day, not me. I couldn't even finish my words before Mom slapped me across the face. Why didn't you die instead of my Anna? She was so good. What gives you the right to live? Why don't you just die? After the wedding, every time he came home was the start of my nightmare. Victoria, it hurts her. Do you have any idea how much pain my Anna was in when she died? You owe her. I was trembling in pain, my lips bitten through. This is abuse. It's illegal. Eric laughed, as if I'd cracked a joke. You think anyone would dare interfere in my affairs? Don't forget, you don't even have a home now. Who can stop me? I told Aunt Lynn everything when I said I'd marry you. She agreed. This is just your karma. Your karma. He seemed to savor the words, like he wanted to tear me apart. All I knew was pain, everywhere. I lost the strength to fight back, tears silently streaming as I stared at the ceiling. The one person who'd ever shown me light didn't recognize me and was now dragging me to hell. Eric's torment must have pushed me too far, or maybe it was my health. I passed out for a day and a night, woke up with this gut-wrenching stomach pain, like a blender was churning inside me. Suddenly, my throat felt sweet, and I rushed to the bathroom, retching up blood into the sink. Looked at myself in the mirror, face pale, cheekbones sharp, lips stained with blood. This couldn't have been the face of a 26-year-old. The pain worsened. I felt strength leaving my body, but I used all my power to wash the blood down the sink. Back in bed, I took some painkillers and curled up, drenched in sweat. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling window, warming my head. I stared at it for what felt like forever. So long the world seemed to stop. I realized slowly, I was dying. Stomach cancer, late stage. Finally, I could be free from Eric's revenge. By evening, I got a call asking when we'd be home. It was family dinner night. Such a large family, they liked keeping up appearances, making sure no one was plotting against each other. Dinner was just a reminder for that. Eric and I usually went separately. He'd let me join the car at the corner before the house to show a united front. I thought it would be the same today, but after an hour, Eric still hadn't shown. As I wondered whether to head to the house or call him, another call came through. Eric had already arrived, and the whole family was waiting just for me. Grandpa was furious, blamed me for not knowing my place, and told Eric to take me back and teach me a lesson. Eric just nodded, giving me a cold look. You think you can become something? You're nothing next to Anna. The relatives looked on, expecting drama, but once Anna's name came up, their eyes got all funny. Yeah, Anna was perfect. Meanwhile, my life's been worse than a dog's. Just getting food, staying warm, was luxury enough. Sure, she was high and mighty, but also a thief. I didn't want to explain or argue. No one would believe me anyway. I just wanted to stop loving Eric so much, so I wouldn't hurt anymore. I had this crazy idea, to make him fall for me. Then, when I die, show him proof that I was the little girl from back then. He got it all wrong, and ended up torturing her to death. Let him suffer regret a lifetime. But sadly, the jade pendant's only witness, Anna, was dead. And it's hopeless Eric would ever fall for me. Eric's mom shot me a glare and said, "There's a party soon. Eric, take her to see the world. She's the one you insisted on marrying." Her actions reflect on our family. And you, Victoria, eat something. You look so sick, people might think I'm abusing you. I nodded, eyes down. Got it. No one here acknowledged me. They see me as the murderer of Anna. Doesn't matter now, though. Even knowing Eric married me just to torture me for Anna, my heart still fluttered, because I loved him for years. And it turns out, I'm an idiot for it. On the way back, Eric sped through that intersection. I glanced at him, and his expression was dark, which made my heart skip a little. But at the next junction, he suddenly turned sharply and stopped by the roadside. He got out, opened the passenger door, and unbuckled his seatbelt, then roughly pulled me out of the car. What are you doing? Eric opened the back door and shoved me in. Before I could even get up, he was on top of me, shutting the door. I knew what he wanted and fought back with all my might. But the car was small, and I didn't have much strength. He quickly pinned my hands. Eric, you jerk, let me go. I don't want this. Victoria, remember the agreement you signed. You have to satisfy me whenever. No, that's not something I did willingly. You forced my handprint on it. I found an opening and bit him hard on the wrist. In anger, Eric slapped me. He used full force, splitting my lip and drawing blood. Get out. I scrambled out, watching his car leave as I fell to the ground, tears falling uncontrollably. I realized my coat was still in his car, and I didn't have my phone. Northern winters are cold, and I was shivering in just a thin sweater. I didn't even have money for a cab. Walking back would take at least 2 hours. I rubbed my hands as I walked, hoping it would warm me up. When I was little, getting kicked out and standing in the snow was a regular thing, but at least I had a sweater now. But my stomach started hurting again. The pain was getting more frequent, and even painkillers weren't helping much. I couldn't stand it. Gripping my stomach, I squatted down, head on my knees. The stabbing pain made my vision blur. Then a gentle voice came. Are you okay? I struggled to look up and saw a slightly surprised face. Simon. Miss Victoria, are you having stomach pains again? I nodded. Let's get you to the hospital. Simon helped me up, frowning as he touched my wrist. It's freezing, and you're barely wearing anything. Are you crazy? He took off his coat and draped it over my shoulders. Wear mine for now. My car's just ahead. Thanks. I didn't refuse. I met Simon 3 months ago. In fact, he's my doctor. Every checkup, he'd insist I get treatment, saying there was hope if I started early. I would always smile and say, let's wait a bit. I know my body. Maybe stubborn patients like me stick with doctors. Watching the 4 drip, I thought about how my life felt like it was trickling away. Miss Victoria, I need to tell you seriously today. I need to start treatment, or it'll get worse. I interrupted him. Simon looked at me anxiously. Since you know, why aren't you treating it? Your cancer is spreading fast. I asked. If I don't treat it, will I die soon? Simon pursed his lips, nodded after a while. Good. I want to die quickly. I forced a bitter smile. I'm more afraid of living than dying. How long do I have? Maybe 6 months. Or as little as 3. Simon pleaded. If you cooperate with treatment, you might live another year or 2. Don't give up on yourself. I shook my head. After a night in the hospital, Simon brought porridge in the morning. My stomach hurt eating it, and I barely drank a bit. He offered to drive me home, which I didn't refuse since I didn't have a ride. When dropping me off, he handed me a bottle. This works better for pain, but don't take too much. Got it. Thanks, Simon. I took the meds, grateful. You should seriously think about treatment. Thanks for the ride, Simon, I said as I entered. Oh, let me give you my number to repay you. When I got to my bedroom, I saw Eric by the window. I turned to leave, not wanting to be near him. Spending the night with another man, huh? No wonder you dared to bite me yesterday. Found someone else already. I didn't. Stop saying that. Eric gripped my neck, glaring fiercely. Does he know you're a murderer? I clawed at his hands. My head felt like it would explode from lack of air. I'm not. He tossed me on the bed. Victoria, you'll pay for this your whole life. Maybe knowing I was dying made me fearless. I yelled at him. Eric, you keep calling me a murderer. Why don't you report me? You have no proof. Anna's death wasn't on me. With your influence, you could kill me easily, yet you haven't. Why do you still sleep with me every night? Let me guess, it's because you love me, or you love my body. Eric, you're the biggest betrayer. I laughed until I cried. I don't. I'll never love you. I've always loved Anna. For over 10 years. Eric said with rage, almost like a mantra. As he neared the end, some strange courage made me wrap my arms around his neck and kiss him. It was our first kiss since getting married. After he showered, dressing with his back to me, he warned, break it off with that man, or I'll make him disappear. He's my doctor. Doctors have quite the service now, even taking patients home. Don't test my patience, Victoria. I took a deep breath. Eric, I'm dying. Late-stage stomach cancer. Eric paused, then sneered. Quite the act. Planning to fake your death to escape. If you really die, maybe God just wants you to pay for Anna's death in hell. I knew it. He couldn't care less if I lived or died. The only reason he didn't kill me was so he could torment me longer. Now, I was dying, which might just save him the trouble. Even though I knew for a long time, hearing him say it still hurts. At the party, I guess Mrs. Song was afraid Eric wouldn't bother with me. So she arranged stylists and sent rows of dresses to the villa early on. I looked terrible, and the makeup artist sighed every time they applied foundation. To complement my complexion, they finally chose a bright red spaghetti strap gown for me. The party was all glamour, with suited men and glamorous women mingling around. Some were talking business, others were gossiping. I was standing in the corner, feeling out of place. Sure enough, an ugly duckling remains an ugly duckling. Even a fancy dress can't turn it into a swan. Eric probably didn't plan on bringing me here anyway. Not far away, he was with a woman also wearing a bright red gown. I just quietly watched their backs. Someone in front of him noticed me and pointed me out to Eric. He turned his head to look at me. I didn't shy away, just smiled graciously. Perhaps my smile was too glaring, or maybe it was because my dress matched his companion's. Eric frowned as if displeased. I hesitated when his companion turned her head. Her face shape and eyes resembled Anna a lot. Eric, who is she? Why is she looking at us like this? The girl's voice was soft. Eric gently touched her hair. Someone who owes me something. So, he could be that gentle with someone who looked like Anna too. My heart thumped, like it was being crushed by an unseen hand, aching like it was about to explode. I clenched my fists, my eyes fixed on them. Eric led the woman over, face cold. This place isn't for you. Get lost. Don't embarrass me. Before I could respond, the woman covered her mouth, her eyes staring at my wrist. Eric, what's wrong with her wrist? I covered my left wrist, smirking. Of course, your dear Eric broke it himself. A year after our wedding, it was the anniversary of Anna's death. He came back late that night, and I hid in another bedroom out of fear. Much later, just as I was about to fall asleep, he dragged me out of bed. The living room was filled with lit candles, Anna's picture in the center. Kneel and kowtow to Anna. I would never kneel to her. My tragic life was all because of her. And now, even though she's gone, I'm still suffering. Eric, seeing that I wouldn't kneel, resorted to force. During the scuffle, I smashed Anna's photo frame on the ground, knocking over a candle. The paper photo under the glass caught fire instantly. Anna, Eric rushed to stomp out the flames, but most of the photo was destroyed. Why do you have to be so cruel to Anna? She's dead, and you're still so vicious. Eric, in a frenzy, pulled my hair, threw me to the ground, and glass shards cut my hand. Holding my bleeding hand, before I could get up, I saw Eric with a baseball bat, slowly coming toward me. Which hand broke the photo? Left, right? A bad feeling rushed through me, and as I tried to get up and run, he pulled me back even faster. Eric, calm down. I won't do it again, please don't. For smashing Anna's photo, I'll break your hand today to make sure you remember. Panicking, I grabbed a candle and threw it at him, trying to escape, but he kicked me hard in the abdomen. The pain instantly spread through my whole body, clutching my stomach as I fell to the ground. Another kick left me unable to get up again. The throbbing pain in my lower abdomen, along with a warm flow, told me I lost something. He stepped on my left arm, baseball bat raised high. Eric, no, I screamed. As the bat came down, the snap of bones shattering sent darkness over my eyes. Eric was still going for a second hit. The pain in my abdomen and wrist was unbearable, and I passed out. When I woke up, I was already in the hospital. Auntie was beside me, and when she saw I was awake, she came over immediately. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? I'll get the doctor. Don't go. I licked my lips, nervously asking, what about my baby? Her eyes welled up at my words. The baby's gone. My heart, which had been holding on, finally shattered. I took a deep breath. Tears started to flow uncontrollably. Looking up at the ceiling, how far along was the baby? The doctor said you were just 2 months. I felt a tug in my heart, moved my left hand. The instant pain made me bite my lip. The physical pain overshadowed the heartache. In the evening, the driver took me back to the villa. Eric was in the bedroom. Eric, are you satisfied? You killed your own child with your own hands. He gripped my jaw, emphasizing, it was just a bastard. Gone is gone. It's its fault for being in your womb. You're not worthy of bearing my child. I looked at the man in front of me, How could he say such cold-hearted things? That was his child too. Forgot to tell you, you hemorrhaged. I told the doctor to remove your uterus to save your life. You'll never have kids again. I broke down completely. I'll never have children again. I'm only 25. I tried to hit him, but he easily caught my wrist. His other hand pressed on my left wrist, and with a crack, I screamed in pain. It was deep winter. The morning sun shone warmly on me. I lay on the rocking chair by the window, covered with a small blanket. Ever since that Anna lookalike came around, Eric rarely came back. I hadn't seen him in a week. Perhaps my illness worsened, because eating had become difficult. Sometimes, just 2 small bites made my stomach hurt unbearably. Every day I couldn't eat, and the pain kept me up at night. My condition worsened. I hadn't dared look in the mirror for a long time, afraid of seeing my skeletal face. At dinner, Auntie made lots of good food. Miss Victoria, I made many nourishing things. You've been getting skinnier, and should eat more. Being too thin isn't good for your health. I nodded, staring at the table full of food, with no appetite at all. Not wanting to raise any suspicions with my aunt, I managed to drink half a bowl of soup and took a couple of tiny bites. My stomach was already starting to ache. I rushed back to my room and took some painkillers. The pain felt like 1,000 needles stabbing me all at once, completely unbearable. After a while, my stomach churned, and I ran to the bathroom. Everything I just ate came back up, and I also coughed up a mouthful of blood. Maybe the meds kicked in because the pain eased a bit. Drained from all the chaos, I collapsed onto the bed, breathing heavily, like I might fall asleep forever if I closed my eyes at that moment. Late at night, Eric came back. He pulled back the covers, ready for action. I resisted a little, but it was pointless, so I just went along with it. When his hand slid under my ribs, he suddenly stopped. He asked in a low voice why I'd lost so much weight. My heart sank. Any spark of life was snuffed out by him in the next second. He said, "Eat more from now on. Don't die so quickly like you said. I'm interested in your body, but all the skin and bones messes with the feel. I'm not pleased." My breath caught, and my chest ached. On the flip side, it was good. I could avoid his torment. Lying in bed, I looked at his back. We were so close, yet I felt like I couldn't even touch the hem of his shirt. "There's a dinner tomorrow. You're coming with me?" His voice suddenly sounded. I'd never gone with him to any party or dinner. I asked instinctively, "Won't that girl from before be with you?" "My business isn't yours to question," he shot back. The next afternoon, Eric arranged for a stylist. I again masked my complexion with heavy makeup, though I was thinner than before, almost unrecognizable. This time, I didn't pick a dress. I just threw on a sweatshirt and headed out. At the hotel suite Eric mentioned, I realized it wasn't just a regular dinner. 4 men in their 50s were there. Eric sat at the head of the table with Anna's lookalike beside him. The girl glared at me and snuggled closer to Eric. "Who's this?" A chubby executive eyed me. I glanced at Eric. "You've got company already, so I won't intrude." "Stop," he ordered as I turned. "You're here to entertain these executives, not me." His words stung. He wanted me to play hostess. Of course, he loathed me so much. Humiliation was the game. Seeing the drinks lined up, I knew I couldn't refuse. If I didn't drink, Eric would make me pay later. If I did, I might sped up my death. Without thinking, I downed a glass. The cold liquid traveled to my stomach, and within a minute, the sharp pain hit. Through their conversations, I gulped drink after drink. The pain came in waves, making my vision blur. My back was drenched in sweat. "This pretty lady sure holds her liquor, and looks good too," a man said as he pulled me close while I felt dizzy. "Eric," he turned, "where'd you find such a gem? You know I like this type, albeit too skinny, like hugging a bag of bones." He added, "I've got a room upstairs. Let's go, miss." As he led me away, I realized Eric intended not only for me to entertain, but also to sleep with them. I fought back. Instead of letting go, he tightened his grip and groped me. Desperate, I shouted, "Eric, do you really enjoy betrayal? I'm your legal wife. You're willing to let someone else have me." My words fell, silencing the room. Everyone waited for Eric's response. The man finally released me and stepped back. "Is she really your wife?" Eric's face darkened. Ignoring his reaction, I grabbed my bag and left. Just as the door shut, I heard a glass shatter against it. I staggered out of the hotel and couldn't help but retch on the roadside. I saw the blood among the alcohol and smiled bitterly. Just as I was about to stand, another wave hit me, and I vomited a large amount of blood again. Walking past were a mother and daughter. "Look, Mom, is that lady like in the shows, hurt and throwing up blood?" the girl asked. "Don't say such things," the mom admonished, and then offered, "Do you need us to call an ambulance for you?" I shook my head weakly. "No, thank you." I stumbled forward, each step a battle, writhing in pain everywhere, not just my stomach. Suddenly, a strong hand supported my arm. Simon, he always seemed to appear in my worst moments. Once more, he brought me to the hospital. Victoria, are you out of your mind? Don't you know your body's state? As if ignoring treatment wasn't enough, you went drinking too. You're driving me crazy. Simon rarely gets mad, but this was a first. Though I've only met him a few times, he's always had a calm and reassuring demeanor. Today, he seemed ready to explode. Are you even listening to me? He demanded. I nodded, feeling some relief from the fall. Simon, why are you so worked up? It's not like you to lose your doctor's cool. I'm not talking as a doctor now. I'm speaking as a friend, Simon retorted. I chuckled. Didn't expect to make a friend while on the verge of death. Victoria, what could possibly be more important than your life? Maybe I'm some kind of monster, planning to use my death to take my revenge on everyone. Simon paused, then slowly replied, people have their karma, but life comes only once. Are you truly set on risking yours to awaken someone else's conscience? His words lingered in my mind. Since that night of drinking, my health rapidly declined, and I was now vomiting blood frequently. Watching snowflakes fall outside, my thoughts were tangled. What would next spring be like? Would the summer be scorching? I'm not sure I'll make it to summer, maybe not even spring. Something big happened on New Year's Day. Anna, who died 2 years ago, came back. She strolled back into the house, and then Eric got a call. By the time I heard about it, it was the next day, because Eric handed me the divorce papers. Anna's back now. I won't make her suffer. Sign the papers, pack your stuff, and get out. I don't want Anna upset because of you. After he said that, Eric slammed the door and left, likely to see Anna. I looked at the divorce papers, laughing until I started to cry. Why would God pull such a prank? Is it because I'm easy to bully? So people just keep pushing me around, right? Anna mysteriously died, and I became the scapegoat, suffering 2 years of inhuman treatment. Now that I've got cancer and am about to die, I thought I'd finally be free of being the scapegoat, and here she is back again. So what about me? What do these past 2 years mean for me? All the suffering I've endured, who am I supposed to tell? I set up a meeting with Anna. We agreed on 11 a.m. I arrived at the cafe half an hour early and waited for about 2 hours before she finally showed up. Anna sat down, casually pushed her hair back, glanced at the coffee I ordered her, and said with disdain, I've changed tastes over the past 2 years. With that, she called over a waiter and ordered another cup. Sorry I'm late. I was just with Eric, she said with a smug smile. I didn't say it was you who called me out. Eric doesn't let me out of his sight now. He's scared something might happen again. If he knows you asked me to meet, I'm afraid he'd break your legs. I kept my calm and didn't show any hint of anger at her words. Anna, not content, continued, I heard you haven't been doing well, huh? Even though you married Eric, you're living worse than a dog. Thanks to you, only because of you did I get to marry Eric. Anna's temper flared first. Eric said he loves me the most. Marrying you was just to get back at you for me. Now that I'm back, he'll give me a grand wedding. You better get lost. I didn't want to waste words with her. Fingering the recorder in my pocket, I got straight to the point. Anna, it's just you and me here today. I've always wondered why you suddenly picked a fight with me that day, then fell into the sea, only to come back to life now. Last night, my dear mom called, urging me to divorce and quit hogging Anna's place. After scolding me, she started praising Anna's miraculous survival. She said people like me deserve to die. From her words, I picked up the info. Anna told them she fell into the sea but was rescued. She said her memory was messed up due to brain injury. Luckily, the person who saved her was wealthy, gave her a nanny job, and she suffered quite a bit. Now she got her memory back and returned. Knowing she was out there doing nanny work really tugged at their heartstrings. But I always doubted this story. Seeing Anna today only confirmed it's not what she claims. Anna looked healthier than 2 years ago. Her hands didn't look like someone who worked as a nanny for 2 years. They were well manicured and smooth. Anna didn't even try to hide it. Who asked you to be the perfect scapegoat? I met this rich French guy. He's not only handsome, but way more fun than Eric. Especially since every time Eric was with me, he'd bring up childhood and that stupid pendant. I was always on edge in case he figured things out. I couldn't even mention breaking up. In case things didn't work out with Charles, I'd still have Eric. I told Charles my dad wouldn't let me go, so he came up with a fake death plan. That day I argued with you on purpose, to make everyone believe you killed me. That way, they'd all remember me, especially Eric. He'd feel guilty since you wanted to marry him and fought with me, which led to me angrily driving into the sea. Who'd have thought Eric would be so ruthless that he'd do this to you for me? If he found out you were the one he's been searching for, would he go crazy? But he'll never know. Your image is already set in his mind. He'll never believe you. Watching her gloat like she's pulled off the greatest scheme, I felt chilled at how terrifying human nature can be. One more thing. How did my pendant end up with you? I asked. Anna sipped her coffee, speaking slowly. When we were kids, I tried to grab it from you. Even when you were almost beaten to death, you wouldn't hand it over. I got so mad I skipped dinner. The next day, the pendant magically appeared under my pillow. Your mom, no doubt. She was always trying to please my dad and me. She'd do anything to make me happy. Deep down, I already suspected as much. I just didn't want to believe it. Eric has been to that house many times. Every time he mentioned the pendant, my mom acted like it was always Anna's. In my whole life, the suffering I've endured, who's really to blame? It's been 3 days since I met with Anna. Eric's been gone for 3 days too, though his assistant calls daily, asking if I've signed the divorce papers. I looked at the tabloid headlines. Whatever party or event, Anna's always right by Eric's side. I doubt I'm the only one kicked out. That other stand-in must be no better off than me. In these 3 days, I've realized a lot of things. Simon was right about one thing. Life only happens once, and my life is about to end. I've spent my whole life living in Anna's shadow, getting yelled at and hit every day. Finally, I got into college, only to be sent by my mom to be Anna's sidekick. Later, I thought I could win over Eric with my sincerity, but ended up totally broken. Now I'm about to put an end to this miserable life. My entire life, I've been controlled by others. Now, with what little time I have left, I want to live for myself. I pushed my suitcase and glanced at the divorce papers on the living room table. I'd signed them. Before leaving, I texted Eric's assistant, because I didn't have Eric's number, asking them to let Eric know I'd signed the papers. At the airport, I was surprised to see Simon waving at me. He seemed to have been waiting for a while. What are you doing here? Simon casually took my suitcase. You told me you were leaving, wanted to go somewhere. I guessed you'd be at the airport. Didn't know when your flight was. So here I am. I smiled. You didn't have to see me off. Simon wiggled his finger. I'm coming with you. Plus, I'm a doctor. You'll find me useful. What about the hospital? I asked, puzzled. Do doctors just leave like that? No worries. The hospital is owned by my family. I silently gasped. Turns out he's a rich kid. But we never took a flight. Instead, we decided on a road trip. We'd explore wherever we went. Watching the stone paths and folks singing on the bridge, I found it all fascinating, momentarily ignoring my aching stomach. But before nightfall, my condition worsened. After vomiting blood several times, I was rushed to the hospital with an oxygen mask on. I'm such a buzzkill, Simon said softly, sitting across from me. You're just exhausted. Rest for a few days. You'll be fine. I knew he was just trying to comfort me. I'm well aware of my own body. It's covered with growths, some even palpable. But I refuse to lie in bed and wait to die. Moreover, I've just tasted freedom. If I must die, I want to do it freely. Once discharged, I couldn't walk much. I was just skin and bones. Simon arranged a wheelchair for me. I'll take you wherever you want. This way you won't get tired. He's so thoughtful. Whenever we went out, I wrapped myself up tightly to avoid scaring people. We traveled to several cities. Each place had its own charm. I saw historic sites and relics I'd only seen in textbooks. There's so much in the world I don't know. So much I haven't seen. But I've reached my limit. I could hardly stand it anymore, unable to sleep from the pain. Painkillers stopped working. I hung on with sheer willpower. I was in excruciating pain, unable to eat, constantly vomiting blood, surviving on nutrition drips. I knew the end was near. Death no longer scared me. Compared to the agony, death was a relief. On a sunny afternoon, despite it being winter, the weather was warm. I asked Simon to take me outside for some fresh air. We sat quietly in the garden. Suddenly, Simon grabbed my hand. I saw the emotions welling in his eyes. I knew what he was about to say and cut him off. Simon, meeting you has been a blessing. God's been kind to me. I remember all your kindness. But after I'm gone, please forget me. Live your life. I'm just a passerby in your brilliant life. No need to linger or remember. No. Simon's eyes were red. Victoria, don't say it. I must. Victoria, I've fallen for you. Your resilience won me over. Forgetting you, impossible. I'll remember you forever. In the next life, I'll find you again. Seeing Simon sobbing broke my heart. I still tried to wipe his tears. Despite having nothing to promise him, I had no future. I might be gone any second. A gentle breeze swept over me, and I felt lighter, as if it was there to carry me away. Epilogue. I'm Eric, head of H Group. When I was a kid, there was this little girl, always crying and barely fed. I wonder how she turned out. I told her to wait for me, but didn't expect to be gone for so long. Yet, fate favored me. I found her the moment I returned. If it wasn't for the jade pendant on her neck, I might not have recognized her. She had changed so much. That day, at a friend's party, I met this drunk girl. They were having too much fun, and I wasn't into that. But then I saw her pendant, and everything froze. She was the one I was searching for. With that, Anna and I naturally got together. It wasn't until she took me home that I found out she had a sister. I was so focused on Anna, I barely noticed her. The next time, as I was leaving after dinner, Victoria, Anna's sister, stopped me, pleading she was the little girl from my past. If I hadn't recognized Anna already, I might have believed her. Furious, I pinned her against the wall by her throat. Don't ever say that again, or I'll deal with you myself. I wanted to say more, but seeing her tears stopped me. I let her go and drove off. To prevent her from confronting me again, I told Anna about it. Anna complained, saying her sister seemed harmless, but secretly bullied her. It made me despise Victoria even more. After I proposed to Anna and was planning our wedding, something happened to her. Everyone was saying Anna got into a fight with Victoria, causing her to leave angrily and end up in an accident. I believed it too. I wanted revenge. Victoria wanted to marry me, so I decided to make it happen. When I brought this up to her family, even mentioning my plan for revenge, Victoria's mom agreed without hesitation. That surprised me a bit. Victoria's own mom just threw her under the bus like that. So Victoria must be even worse than Anna said. So, I married her, and I humiliated her in every way possible. I even physically tormented her, but somehow, I became addicted to her. I tried to control myself by going on work trips, but whenever I came back and saw her, I lost control. I didn't really want to hurt her that much, because her pain made me uncomfortable too. But being gentle felt like a betrayal to Anna, so I chose shared pain instead. Afterward, I'd call the housekeeper to come help her with medicine the next day. When I broke her wrist, I was truly angry. She had smashed Anna's photo right in front of me. At the hospital, the doctor said she was pregnant for 2 months, but had miscarried. I felt a sudden emptiness, a bitter taste in my mouth. I kept telling myself it's for the best. She caused Anna's death and doesn't deserve my child. This child shouldn't be born. While I chanted that in my head, the doctor ran out to tell me she was bleeding heavily and needed a hysterectomy to survive. At that moment, the only thought in my mind, from deep within, was that she can't die. I signed the consent form decisively, waiting quietly outside the surgery room. Victoria can't die. She hasn't repaid Anna yet. That day after the surgery, she kissed me. My heart raced, and I considered deepening the kiss when she pulled away. I hated myself for almost giving in to the temptation. I don't know what's happening to me. Every time I touch her, I remind myself it's for revenge. I can't fall in love with her. So I stopped going home and found women who looked like Anna. I could be kind to them, but felt no extra emotion, not even the desire to touch them. That time when I drank with a client was impulsive. Seeing her held by that old man, being touched, I was furious. Really furious. If Victoria hadn't shouted those words, I'd have stepped in anyway. My hand was already on the glass, clutching it tight. 2 years passed, and Anna wasn't dead. She came back. I filed for divorce, because I didn't want Anna to get hurt again, and kept her by my side daily. When my assistant told me Victoria had signed the papers and already moved out, I was a bit lost in thought. That night, looking at the divorce papers, I spaced out again. A couple of days later, no idea why, but I felt empty. Even with Anna there, I was restless, wanting to go home every day without knowing why. One day, Anna and I went home to talk about the wedding. Her father, in high spirits, drank a bit much and talked about the jade pendant. He said when they were young, Anna almost got Victoria beaten to death by their mom over that pendant. He said it was also the reason I and Anna met. I felt like I had been smacked with a hammer. Before I could ask more, Anna had already helped her uncle into a room. I kept replaying the uncle's words in my head, feeling something was off. I started looking into Victoria's whereabouts, checking on her recent social activities, but there were none. Other than work, she seemed to go nowhere else. However, she quit work 6 months ago. Without work, she visited the hospital frequently. Hospital. It hit me suddenly. The answer was becoming clear. Those words she said, her becoming skinnier by the day, sometimes vomiting at night. I didn't dare think further, but the assistant brought back Victoria's medical report. Seeing stage 4 stomach cancer, tears fell onto the document. She once said, "Eric, I'm dying, stage 4 stomach cancer." And I didn't believe her, said so many awful things. I looked for her everywhere, but she vanished, nowhere to be found. The assistant found Victoria's doctor's contact. Nervously, I dialed the number. He told me Victoria was already dead. She died in a city where it's always spring. By the time I arrived, her ashes had been scattered into the sea. I recognized the man who met me. It was the same guy who drove Victoria back that morning, her doctor, Simon. I punched him in the face, grabbed his collar, eyes red with rage, yelling, "Did you take her away? Why did you do it? She's dead, shedding her ashes. Why?" Simon hit me back. "You're asking why? How did you treat her while she was alive? It was her wish. She said she never had freedom in life. Death allowed her to see the world without being tied down." We fought for half an hour, both ending up bruised, sitting breathlessly on the ground. I was unwilling, but hesitantly asked if she left any words for me. Simon shot me a glare. "Mr. Eric, what do you want to hear? Want to know how much she suffered from cancer, bleeding daily, unable to eat or sleep, never once complaining, or how lonely she was without family when she left?" He paused, sighed, and continued. "She never mentioned you, but I saw crumpled papers with writing thrown in her room's trash. I think they were about you." My heart felt like it was pummeled, throbbing with pain. My voice quivered. "Can you take me to her room to have a look?" Simon took me over and pointed at the desk in the room. She spent most of her time just sitting there, daydreaming. She said she loved spring because many years ago, someone came into her life during spring. Like a ray of sunshine, they brightened her dark world, bringing warmth. But later, that sunshine turned into a hell. I was a mess, crying uncontrollably. "Honestly, she never mentioned you again before she died. I was the one who brought you here. I wanted you to feel some of her pain. Why should she suffer every day, unable to sleep or eat, constantly coughing up blood, while you party every night with beautiful women?" This is her voice recorder, always under her pillow. Simon placed the recorder on the table and gave me a cold look before leaving. I sat there in the room for the whole afternoon. The afternoon sun streamed through the glass, warming the room, but I felt cold all over, my trembling body gasping for breath. With shaking hands, I turned on the voice recorder. I thought it would hold her last words, but instead, it revealed the truth of everything. She recorded it all, but never used it to prove herself to me. She must have hated me, been so disappointed in me. Only after her death did I find out all of this. What had I done to her? The one who should have died was me. She told me more than once that she was that little girl, but I was blind. Not only did I not believe her, but I also tortured her and treated something fake as precious. Overwhelming grief crushed me. I covered my mouth, my eyes dry from crying, while my heart felt like it was tearing wide open, gasping for air. It wasn't until midnight that I slowly opened the crumpled papers in the trash can. Each paper only said, "Big Brother." Her writing was so heavy that some papers were torn. I couldn't tell if it was from pain or hatred. Each page, each word, felt like a sharp blade, shredding my heart to bloody pieces. I clung to these last pieces she left, lying on the floor, crying until I was hoarse. Later, I returned with the few papers Victoria left behind. I laid them out on the bed. I needed to do something. I'd be back soon. Driving like a madman, I reached their house. Anna ran up to me, ready to jump into my arms. I kicked her away, crouched down, grabbed her hair, and shouted in a frightening voice, "Why did you lie to me? You're not, Victoria is." I was filled with murderous rage, feeling my sanity slip away. Anna cried and begged for mercy. Her parents tried to pull me away. I glared at each of them, finally fixating on Victoria's mom, my eyes bloodshot, radiating homicidal fury. "Victoria is your daughter. You knew she was the one I was looking for, yet you helped Anna deceive me. You even let me torture her. Do you still deserve to be a mother? Eric, were we the ones who forced you to torment her? You're the main culprit. Don't blame us for everything. She told you the truth back then, but did you believe her? No, you didn't. If we're the murderers, you're an accomplice. None of us are good people." Anna laughed hysterically. She was right. The veins on my forehead throbbed. I'd been fooled by this woman for years. My body went rigid, my fists clenched tight, knuckles white. I lunged at Anna, punching her until she bled. Anyone who tried to stop me got hit too. In the end, all three lay on the floor, barely alive. I don't remember how I got out of there. I just knew my heart was bleeding, like being tortured repeatedly. Their family went bankrupt, overnight too. The H group went all out to bring them down. Everyone who hurt Victoria would pay, including myself. Anna cried, begging at my feet. I only gave her a cold look. "This is your karma. I won't kill you, but I'll make sure you suffer." I used all my family's resources to send Anna and Victoria to war-torn country A. How long they survive depends on their luck. This is their karma and mine. I will handle mine personally. Back home, I lay in bed, looking at the half-written papers, as if Victoria was still here. I smiled. Sleep slowly consumed my last bit of consciousness. In my mind, I saw her silhouette, not yet far away.